We've seen, of course, what happened yesterday, watching all of that, the president unable to speak yesterday at that Cosatu event, and in the end, various, of course, condemnation of it. Khanya Vilakazi is a political analyst at the University of Mpumalanga. Khanya, good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time. Look, in some levels, we've seen tension between Cosatu and the ANC growing for years. You could argue for 20 years, probably a lot shorter than that. Is yesterday's incident a turning point, or is it just about a very specific set of circumstances involving Northwest, Marikana, Rustenburg and Sibanye-Stillwater?
Well, I think, Stephen, I think it was untoward for the president to go back to Marikana or around that area, knowing quite well that there's still a wage dispute that has been happening in and around that area. So I think he should have, politically, he should have not gone there and gone to an area where he enjoys much more populism than he would around that area.
In 2017, on May Day, Cosatu members booed then-President Jacob Zuma. It was a big moment in 2017 when that happened. That led, of course, that was sort of on the road to Nasrec. In the end, Zuma lost power. Is this moment very, very different to that moment?
No, it's not. But I want you, Stephen, to understand that the day that alliance partners of the Tripartite Alliance, when they started voicing out their preference of leadership, then their followers or their workers then started engaging in these factional acts. Because as a president of the ANC, you sit as the president of the Tripartite Alliance. And nothing of that nature ought to happen. It wasn't as condemned as it was in 2017. Hence, such acts are much more displayable when it comes to certain workers being displeased by having President Ramaphosa address them.
So, I mean, Cosatu has a formal position, as I understand it, at least of supporting Ramaphosa. That's what they said at Nasrec. They certainly said that towards the end of the Zuma era within the ANC. Does what happened yesterday change that at all?
I doubt it does, because they still yet to pronounce who they support. And I think it's just not well for the Tripartite Alliance to even have alliance partners pronouncing on leadership and who ought to lead the ANC. Because I doubt that the ANC does the same when it comes to Cosatu, when it comes to the SACP. They both are individual entities that are allowed to autonomously elect leaders. But whenever it comes to the ANC, then they start pronouncing on leadership matters, which is quite different.
Your memory might be better than mine, Khanya, but I think we have Zwelinzima Vavi, of all people, to thank for this, don't we? In his support of Jacob Zuma. He was the first person to use the phrase tsunami, I think, in 2005, and look at how their relationship ended up. Anyway, this issue of the whole Tripartite Alliance as a whole, it's a really interesting phenomenon, you know, formed just before the elections in 1994, held on since then. Does it really have a place in South Africa now? And Khanya, I would probably be a very rich man if I had just a small portion of Neil Froneman's salary for every time I've asked an analyst that question.
Well, I think the Tripartite Alliance has served itself quite well for the first 10 years of South Africa's democracy. But after that, I personally have not seen the strength of unions having this close-knitted relationship with the ruling party, which then is the party in government. Maybe if the ANC was in the opposition benches, maybe we would see this relationship develop much more deeper than what it currently is. Because looking back now, even the government itself, which is the ANC-led government, has failed to deliver on its promises to public service workers, and that has become a big thorn in the side of the Tripartite Alliance.
There's so many dynamics that swirl around here. It might be easy to say, well, if the ANC is going to lose political power in national government in 2024, that's still a big maybe for me. But if that's maybe going to happen, Cosatu should leave the ANC now. But things can go the other way too. Cosatu is, I would suggest, got fewer members than it used to have. It's smaller and less powerful than it was. So if it actually leaves the alliance, it actually loses what political power it has at the moment.
Well, that's true, but I think it needs to be tested on itself. I think both Cosatu and the SACP need to take a step back, and if the true revolution of workers, as the SACP and and Cosatu hold itself to be, then they will be much more served being on the outside of the ruling party or in a coalition with the ruling party to actually have effective enforcement of their policies, because it's very difficult when you then send people to a meeting and they come back only for them to be deployed in government or into boards after the fact, and workers have been shortchanged by certain decisions that have been taken at a national level.
Back to the NEC and who's on it, that we go. It doesn't come to so many conversations in there, don't they? Khanya, thank you very much indeed. I suspect you and I will have this conversation again, possibly the next Workers' Day comes around. Khanya Vilakazi is a political analyst at the University of Mpumalanga. All right.